Hey, what's up? I haven't done a video in a while. Just been kind of adjusting to a new schedule. Um, but I have some ideas to talk about. I have them queued up, so those will happen in the next few days. But today, I just had a spontaneous thing I wanted to share, with a lesson that could possibly go through it, um, and a question at the end, I guess, to ask for yourself. Um, so I am listening to a lot more music lately because at my job it's just a lot of repetitive stuff and I'm not really working with anybody else. I'm just working on my tasks. So I get to listen to whatever I want all day to keep my brain busy. Um, so I've been listening to a lot more music than I usually get to, which is cool. It's been a long time since I've like devoted multiple hours of a day to listening, just listening. And at the same time, I'm also interested, a lot more interested in putting out better quality content. I've never had a problem putting out content, but I haven't always spent as much time on the details as, excuse me, as I've wanted to. I guess if I really wanted to, I would have done it. Maybe that I had the energy for. I never felt like I had the energy to pay attention to the details and in the way that my projects really deserved, and I think that's held me back a lot. So here's kind of here's a fun way that I'm inviting myself into a process of more detail. There's three ways, but the third's the really fun one. The first one is just like upgrading my equipment, just making sure I have the best stuff that I can afford, in order to help make like the music I want to. Second is just slowing down and just realizing I can do less at a time, just spend longer on each individual song or project. Um, and those are really important. But the third one is super fun, and this is to borrow details from people that I admire. In this case, bands and artists that I admire, um, in order to visualize my upcoming projects, but in more detail. The more detail you visualize in, I think the closer to a final product that you're happy with, you will get. So what I've been doing today is imagining, okay, if I could create like a Megazord album of all my favorite parts of some of my favorite artists, what would my album contain? And it had a lot more than I thought it would have, which is good when it comes to detail. So I'm going to share that list, and then I'm going to talk about how this can apply to other things in your life, creative or not creative. Um, so what I want my music to have, and what I believe I have the ability to put into it, is Foo Fighter-esque riffs, is what I meant. Especially in their acoustic album. Um, it's disc 2 of. Oh my gosh, I'm flopping on the name of the album. They have a 2-disc album, and the second one is acoustic, and I love the combination of like acousticness but riffs. It's really nice. So I want Foo Fighter-esque riffs, particularly their acoustic album. I want Ed Sheeran accessibility. I want Yonzi soundscaping and texture. He's the lead singer of Sigur Rós, if you are familiar with them. I want Gorillaz production quality and like fun. I want the Mars Volta anything can happenness. I want the mathiness of Tool. Their mastery of meter has always fascinated me. I want the voyeuristic quality of Death Cab for Cutie lyrics. It always looks like it always feels like you're seeing directly into somebody's like life, relationships. I want Bright Eyes conversationalism and picture painting in lyrics. Conor Oberst does a really good job of that. I want Taylor Swift's memorability. I want Tori Kelly vocal flexibility. I want Brian Wilson harmonies. I want the tone. I want to use the like tone of Feist's music. She has kind of a darkness to her music that I really like. I want the quirkiness of Fiona Apple, and I want the storytelling of Regina Spektor. Regina Spektor does this great job of like every song is its own world. Look up like Machine or Hooked into Machine by Regina Spektor. She totally, like, every single part of that performance is based on the story she's trying to tell. Really anything can, she will always serve the song when it comes to instruments and vocal delivery, etc. So anyways, those are the things that I want to channel when it comes to the making of music. And I mean, a lot of those things are things I already tap into, but I think I can do it more intentionally, which I'm excited for. Like, all of those things excite me. If I could see all those things in one place, I'd be excited truly about the music that was being made. And this is more ambitious and more thorough than really any thinking I've done about my music in a long time. This is a really important step for me to be taking. So what I want to encourage you to do, any of you that are creative or embarking on some kind of project, doesn't have to be a creative project. It could even be, it could just be you showing up to work and doing whatever task that you have. You could ask yourself, who are the people in my perception that would like really, really nail this job? Who would really do this well and in a way that I thought was cool? And I want you to just take the best of all worlds and make a list. Be specific as you can. Real people. What is it about them that stands out to you? What do you want that they have? And then, I mean, it could be important to spend some time asking, like, how did they get there? Like, what makes Fiona Apple quirky? I'd have to say her melodies sometimes span just like really big ranges that a lot of singers don't do. She uses chords that are outside of the key and comes back like she's not limited to a diatonic scale. And she uses really fun lyrics to tell her stories. They're definitely different. There's always lines that really stand out and that you wouldn't hear in everyday conversation normally. Well, they're conversational, but like the metaphors that she uses are quirky. So if I go in and dive into each of those details farther, then I start coming up with strategies. Okay, so if I want my music to be quirky, maybe I can try some of those things more deliberately. How do I be accessible or memorable, like Ed Sheeran or Taylor Swift? That probably has a lot to do with repetition and melodies that aren't too complicated. At least having sections of the songs that are easy to sing along with. That kind of thing. Those could keep me more grounded and relatable, whereas other details here could take me really far away from relatability if I wasn't being careful. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. I'd like to hear ideas for you, in the comments if you would, like what projects in your life that you are doing or you are planning to do, or maybe that you've been avoiding. What project could you spice up by creating a list of details that you can steal from other people? I'd love to hear it. The reason this is helpful is because anybody that you notice, like any of these things that you're able to list, you have access to them. The reason I know you have access to them is because you're able to recognize them. It's very hard to recognize in the external world something that is not already internal, something that is not already a desire. If if like for me, if I like the mathiness of like some Tool songs, um, the fact that I remembered it when I was writing this list, like remembered it so easily, is because like there's a mathiness in my head. There's something that connects with me when I hear those things. And that means that I have the ability. That means I have in me the understanding to also create it. I really believe that if you can recognize it in somebody, that you can create it as well. So this is also a practice of recognition, recognize externally, and then realize that that's recognizing internal truths about yourself as well. So even beyond the project, whether you're able to successfully apply all these things or not, you've learned something about yourself. So give it a go. Let me know if you have any results or ideas or questions. I'll talk to y'all later.